We back on the record in clause number 325044, case of style, State of Texas versus Stedman Deshaun Jones. We have Mr. Stedman Deshaun Jones present before the court. Prior to going into recess, Mr. Jones entered a plea of guilty to the charge of interfering with public duties. Mr. Jones acknowledged that he recognized state's exhibit number 1, which is the misdemeanor plea admonishment on page 1. And then on page 2, he acknowledged that he was entering a plea of guilty and his signature, or excuse me, his initials was on the line next to the box checked guilty. And then in paragraph that is titled Discovery Admonishment on page 2 of the same document, I will read this document. It says, prior to entering a plea of guilty or no contest or before trial, you have the right to request discovery of evidence against you in accordance with Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 39.14. If you request production of evidence, the state shall permit you to inspect and review the documents, items, or information, but is not required to allow you electronic duplication. And it states, I understand the following admonishments from the court and make my choice freely and voluntarily. And there are a set of initials on a line next to a statement that says, I do not request discovery of the evidence. I waive my right to request discovery in this case and choose to enter a plea of guilty or no contest. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, on page 3 of the same document, Mr. Jones, there's a signature above, up here, there's a signature above the line that's titled guilt defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes.
All right. Also, Mr. Jones, I have another document here. This document is titled the Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Mr. Jones, do you recognize this document? Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Is that your signature on this document?
Yes.
There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The second box states that you're waiving, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Jones, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read these documents?
Yes.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. State, I have before me state's exhibit number 1, which is the misdemeanor plea admonishment. State, you like to offer state's 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones, the state is requesting to offer this document that you acknowledge as evidence in your case against you. This document on page 2 have your initials on the line next to the box that's checked guilty.
Yes.
And the other lines say that you're waiving discovery.
Yes.
It also have your signature at the top of the document above the line that says defendant.
Yes.
The state would like to use this document as evidence in your case. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence in your case?
Yes.
Okay. Now, state's exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Jones, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial? You have any mental problems that affect your ability to understand what's going on today?
No, sir.
Okay, so you are competent to stand trial. Do you understand? Okay, do you have any mental illness? Do you have a mental illness?
No.
Okay, you have an intellectual disability, meaning that are you mentally retarded?
No.
Okay, you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes.
And you understand the rights that you have as a defendant in a criminal case?
Yes.
You understand the consequences?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so at this time, the court is going to find that you are mentally competent to stand trial.
Okay.
All right. So the court is going to accept your plea of guilty. The court is going to find that you're mentally competent to stand trial. The court is also going to find that your pleas and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And the court is also going to find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And state, what is that agreement?
The agreement is for 1 year deferred probation, a $500 fine, and 40 hours community service.
Okay. Now, Mr. Jones, the state is, before we get to that, Mr. Jones, I also have before me two other documents. The first document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. Mr. Jones, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature at the bottom of this document?
Yes.
And are these your initials on a line that says, I want to waive my right to an attorney and to represent myself?
Yes.
And I have another document here that is titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding to Trial. Mr. Jones, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on this document?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Jones, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jones, now the state is offering that you serve 1 year of deferred adjudicated probation. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $333, which comes to a total fine and court costs of $837. Let me repeat that. The state is offering that you pay a $500 fine and court costs of $337. The total fine and court cost is $837. The state is also offering that you pay a probation fee of $60 a month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month, and your total monthly installments, that is the amount that you'll have to pay each month, is $155 a month. Mr. Jones, would you be able to pay the $155 a month?
As of now, no.
Okay. Do we have anything? Do we have a waiver in his file? Miss, could you reach me that affidavit indigency? I just need to ask you a few questions.
Okay, I have a quick question. I remember when we first started, you said if you did jail time for it,
You would have to, you could negotiate that with the prosecutor. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you need some more time, if y'all want to talk before we go on further, I can give you time to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me do that. Let me take a recess at this time.